What is going on, everybody? What a beautiful morning. What a gift to be alive. I love this over here. That's Honeymoon instrumental. You can find that on YouTube. I love this over here. He said it's called Freedom. I love it. Wow. What a special thing to be here together. We're going to have yesterday's show, right? That was mentioned. That was just absolute fire today as well. And I hope each and every day what we do here continues to go ahead and just strengthen our overall positions, continue to better ourselves here as investors, as traders, and continue to pursue our dreams and actually meeting them, concretely meeting them, right? With what do you call it? I would call it calculated risk, calculated returns. The video though, however, the video that was shared yesterday over here, is Bitcoin 48,000. It was an amazing video. The live session after on the Bitcoin exit was absolutely phenomenal. What a day yesterday, as each and every day here together. What we do here, this is from Will. This is the chart, log chart that we've been looking at. There's a video posted right around the 10th of January talking about Bitcoin profit taking, exit plans over here. September, that second purple line over there, right? These are resistance levels on the way up. We can see that we've broken out through this resistance. I wanted to go to that chart. In the description are 4 different links. One of them to a log chart image that I have over there. And, we do have right above us, you can see this touch over here and that support right over there. There's a light line we're coming into soon. No big deal. Obviously, we're targeting next wave up 150% off the low. Off of 29,000 puts us somewhere around 70,000. We have resistance up there, and as we get closer, we're going to be tracking it and watching what happens over there. Okay, so what else is going on? There's a lot to look at today. Today we're going to get to look at a lot of different markets and probably on the daily time frame. Most definitely gold and silver over here, right? We'll step in over here at gold, Bitcoin. What else have we been taking? By the way, that trade since we started tracking it right there, that was that morning. That wasn't too long ago. That's 40%. That's 40% in a few days. It seems like one of the easier trades. You could tell by the way that I presented it. Well, that speaks for itself. You got to pay attention to tone. I'm not going to tell you ever what I think you should buy and sell, and that's tough. I have I spoke to 2 really close friends yesterday. I consider both of them brothers. They watched the show. Really, I mean, 1 out of every 3 episodes. That's frequently. One was just introduced to it though. And they get it. They love it. They think that there's other opportunity out in other altcoins and things like that. One of them got into Cardano, thankfully. Right? Thankfully, as Cardano, we've seen in that same amount of time, in about 6 weeks, we've seen Cardano. I think this is really where I started watching it with you. Right? I know Brandon was down over here around 10 cents, right? But I was into Bitcoin at that point as Bitcoin was riding up. Over here, you could see that's a 225% return just in a few weeks. I see why people are drawn to it, especially with Wall Street Bets and GameStonk and AMC and everything else. And they're like, how do I find out the information, right? It seems like these people are pumping things. How do I know before they pump it? Because that's gambling. That's really gambling, right? You have to approach the markets in the thoughtful manner that we approach them. By the way, I saw some charts shared on Twitter this morning. They're like, oh my goodness, it was on the 2-hour Bitcoin, but using Conquering the Markets technical analysis all day long, and the user was so comfortable knowing what was going on. It's all beautiful to watch and see. Let's bring it back over here though. Let's bring it back. Let's check in on Brad's chart of the dollar, DXY. We're going to be checking across a bunch of different markets today. Yeah. So, by the way, to finish my thought over here, listening to Jordan while I'll call in the hospital. Wes, what's going on? Big shout out and Paris to everyone there. But listen, the friends telling me that, I listen regularly. I feel like I'm more attracted to altcoins. That's really like, I really feel like this is where I want to spend my attention. Even with the whole, Robinhood app, and the stonks, like I feel like this could be a good hobby for me. I don't have to focus in on politics. I don't have to focus it. I could focus in on this. I kind of like this little bubble a little bit better. And, I'm just risking some beer money or whatever. And that's great. And that's good. And that's healthier than the alternative or watching Netflix or whatever. right? Because you're learning about markets and human psychological behavior, but you're gambling, you're taking risks. If you do it with beer money, but you got to get focused on what matters. You got to be able to set up to pay off your mortgage and or the higher education for your kids, right? You have a window here, and this window, this cycle that we're playing, it says it's not like it ends in September and it's over. You have from today, and if you want to participate from today on, yeah, there's a lot of time left in this bull market phase. There's a lot of time left. Over here, I was listening to Willy Woo, on-chain analysis, and he was talking about the fact that, well, I don't know what he's talking about, and that's the truth. I thought he was saying I'm under the impression a lot of Bitcoin is leaving the exchanges. A lot of Bitcoin is just leaving, whether it's Coinbase. The only exchange that's gaining Bitcoin is BlockFi, because that's their business model, to attract and to hold on to that collateral. But every other exchange, you're seeing lots of Bitcoin bought up, moved off in the thousands, and then put into cold storage. I think what he's saying at this point in the bull market, normally that kind of has stopped and ceased. So that could be a signal that this bull market over here has got a lot more power in it. I think that's what he said. A lot of you already watched this ahead of me. If you haven't, do. But there's like a 30-second clip in here that I do want to share with you right now and play again for myself.
Those guys are going to be wanting to hold their coins. They want to hold their coins at these higher values. And so the floor rises accordingly. So this is what this tracks. As altcoins move to new hands, the floor price moves up and of CVDD, and that model hits all the bottoms.
You're not joking. I'm looking at the bottom that played out on the last 4-year cycle, and I mean, it literally came and kissed that line, and that was it. It's amazing.
Yeah, you find a lot of this in Bitcoin is that it's very robotic and mechanical, and it's just mind-blowing how these models can put a wrapper around the price range and predict way ahead of time where the bottom may be. And what
Did you hear that? That's he's saying Bitcoin is programmable money that you could actually give price targets on. I mean, that's awesome to listen to. That's awesome to hear. I've heard it before. I say it constantly, and it's awesome to see someone else out there in this land over here writing some of those same thoughts on Bitcoin. And it's nice to see people articulate things different. It really helps solidify your own understanding. This is exactly what I recommend. And things like this. Also, what else? And for sure, come down over here on the homepage over here. Go to the Bitcoin playlist. Watch these videos. These videos are absolute treasures over here. I think I should do, what do you think? I think right now, I should work on putting together a video summarizing all of this work together. I think that would be a good thing to add to that playlist at the time. We do have a bunch of people who are constantly just, what are they doing? They just have a narrative they stick to. I'll call them macro narrative investors. Okay, there are lots of them. She's not one of them, by the way. Lynn, she's not even a Bitcoiner, and she's all over Bitcoin at the exact right time. Her view and her why when it comes to the whole macro landscape, especially the dollar, I really appreciate across the board. I'm interested in watching this one, Lynn's 2021 macro outlook. Absolutely. By the way, before I get back into the charts, let me finish this. 302 likes seems a little light 13 minutes in over here, even with 1,300 people. What I wanted to get back to, and I'll come back to that in 1 second. Willy Woo, and not even Willy Woo over here on Preston's podcast over here. This is an investor's podcast over here. He started every Wednesday doing Bitcoin videos. Hey, like every Wednesday, they do a Bitcoin series. It started in November. So if you come back just a couple of months and you find the first Bitcoin video, see, this is Bitcoin 005 with Michael Saylor. Oh, I'm sure that's good stuff. Over here is 4. Just find number 1. And that's something that if you don't yet understand, if you're doing game stonks and you don't understand Bitcoin, I know everyone in here does, but I'm telling you, 2 of my really close friends, brothers, they're like, I'm going to make money in altcoins. I made a lot of mistakes, but from here on in, I think I feel good about it. No, you have to get the Bitcoin trade right. You have to get the Bitcoin trade right. Even a lot of you right? Invested in other things, whether it's oil, whether it's nickel, whether it's commodities, whatever it is. You have to take advantage of a life-changing opportunity. And it's not often, because it's never happened before, that you see an asset go from $200 billion to a multi-trillion-dollar asset in a year. That doesn't happen. It's happening here. You're seeing an enormous price repricing because of it. You have to understand what is happening. You have all this time. If you're starting at square one, and square one is over here on the Investors Business Podcast, finding 001, wherever it is, here it is. Bitcoin calming misconceptions. You have to start here. You have to have a basic understanding of Bitcoin before you're going to be able to get into positioning correctly, right? And now you have all of this time over here during the coming bear market. This is 12 months. We have another 6, 7 months over here, 8, 9 months over here, several more months, over a year and a half. You have to educate yourself to get involved and position correctly for this next run over here. Anyway, Mark Cuban over here. Really nailing what's going on. Raul's asking the question, what's going on? Because a macro narrative investor, and Raul's all over the Bitcoin trade, and his timing is perfect. He's all over the Ethereum trade, and I guess the only one he missed was XRP. That's fine. Listen, well, not really, but it's all good. That kind of, he's asking the question, what's going on in the markets, because it doesn't feel right. Now remember, and it's very important over here because Cuban nails it. Mark Cuban absolutely nails it in one line, and it's really important to listen to. A lot of the macro guys, ever since April, have been on the wrong side of the trade. They missed out the heart of the move, right? They kept looking for the short, and then they're like, yeah, it's going. Well, now it's going to crash sometime soon, and they're back there. Listen to what Mark has to say. Very, very, very important.
One of the things we're kind of framing right now, and something that's going through my head and probably going through your head, is, are we in some sort of bubble? If we talk about the financial markets first, what's your perspective on this? Because it seems like there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's two types of bubbles in my mind. There are interest rate Fed bubbles, and then there are people-driven buying bubbles, right? And depending on the asset, I think it's a little bit different.
But listen, Mark just cut to the heart of the matter. What's going on here is this is a Fed-driven bubble. It's not a Fed-driven bubble. It's a central bank-driven bubble. This is what's causing asset prices to rise. Listen, you have to get on the right side of the trade. You can't just be married to, you have to get on the right side of the trade. You have to understand what's going on until something changes and it's different. Right now, this is a central bank, $315 billion of QE purchases a month in 2021. Global liquidity is just absolute. This is one of my heroes. You all know Stanley Druckenmiller is a legend. Stanley Druckenmiller, I came up with the idea that took the central bank of England down. You heard over here Max Kaiser the other day talking about what he believes Michael Saylor did in raising debt, in offering debt, cheap debt. What is it? He paid to raise that money 3/4 of a percentage point, and then to put it all into Bitcoin. He thinks that's the beginning of an attack on the Federal Reserve, just as Stanley Druckenmiller did over here. Listen to forget about it. Listen to how Stanley articulates what's going on right now as far as the Fed-driven bubble, what it means for assets, and how he's positioned, right? By the way, Stanley has taken a position in Bitcoin. One of the first to before Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller took that position in Bitcoin. Stanley got it a little bit after us over here. He was like in May. He's like, you have to look, even if it doesn't make sense, you have to follow liquidity. But Stanley over here really just he does something here that's much different from what's going on over here. Over here, he talks about how he's playing. Let me let him articulate it for you. I love this clip, and it's long. It's like 3 minutes.
I've been doing this as some kind of chief investment officer since 1978, and this is about the wildest cocktail I've ever seen in terms of trying to figure out a roadmap. Just to frame things a little, the recession we had last year, or whatever you want to call it, the economic downturn, was 5x the average recession since World War II, but it did it in 25% of the time. More bizarrely, during a year while 11 million people more were unemployed.
By the way, look at Stanley's office over here. I love it. All these pictures of family. All look on the left over there. All of those pictures. His desk is cluttered. He's got books. He's always learning. He's got that growth mindset. Look at the two pillows. One on the chair. One on the floor. His office looks the same as mine. I absolutely love it. Listen to what Stanley is saying here. It's so important. And he's going to say this guy has had over 30% return managing a massive amount of money for 30 years in a row. No one else, he's a legend, has done that on Wall Street. Listen to what he says about the current market conditions. Listen to how he says how he's positioned.
He had the largest increase in personal income in 20 years during an economic downturn that's occurred. And of course, as
so I'm sorry, I have to stop it and make sure he said during this downturn, Americans saw their overall income rise. Okay, so you have to imagine the greatest recession, five times the normal size of the recession, the greatest one since World War II, right? And Americans saw their income rising.
No, that's because of the massive policy response we got. The CARES Act added trillions of dollars in fiscal stimulus. How big was it? In 3 months, we increased the deficit more than if you took the last 5 recessions combined. And those were big ones. That was 73, 75, the 82 recession, the early 90s, the dot-com bust, and then, of course, the great financial crisis. If you added the increase in the deficit in all those...
Yeah, so, but you have to listen. This is so important. The most important thing you're listening to all day. Look, yeah, if you're watching videos on your own, you can play them however you like. What Stan is saying here deserves all of your attention and mine. You have to focus. You have to really focus and understand for sure. All right, there's about another minute left to this clip. Zone in here.
5 periods and combine them. We increased the deficit in the U.S. more in 3 months in 2020 than we did in that cumulative total. The Fed, in 6 weeks, bought more treasuries than they did in 10 years under Bernanke and Yellen, when people like me were screaming about how excessive QE was during that period. Corporate borrowing, which almost always goes down in a recession as corporations re-liquefy, and had already gone from 6 trillion to 10 trillion because of free money going into the period, actually went up $400 billion. Just put that in perspective, it went down 500 billion during the great financial crisis. So we had this massive increase in liquidity, this massive increase in stimulus, but this is sort of the background, and obviously all this stimulus has flowed.
By the way, Pure Vita. What? Listen, I meant to start this whole show off dedicating it to all the moderators who have absolutely made this experience incredible. Thank you so much for every day, all the hard work that you put in, making just a better experience for everyone. Really, just thank you so much. Look what he's doing over here, and Stanley's made a lot of his money throughout the years on treasuries. That's what he trades, and currencies. That's what he does. Look how he's positioned, which is opposite of how he's positioned. Interesting. Watch this over here. Talk about the greatest bubble of all, and it's in treasuries. Watch this.
Into financial markets, into commodities, and the financial interests. So it's sort of a bizarre background. The other thing I would say, I'm excited that we have an Asian audience today, because the juxtaposition of the various policy response is somewhat
I'm gonna leave it off there, and for you to go ahead watch the interview yourself. Only because I don't know exactly if he gets into saying the current conditions he sees right now in the markets is the greatest, most unbelievable financial cocktail that he's ever witnessed. And when we talked about what's going on over here and why we're seeing the trajectory over here, diminishing returns, lengthening cycles, no, we're seeing a shorter and sharper cycle because of what the central banks and the Fed are doing over here. Very important to focus in on the strongest signal of them all. Let's get into some charts over here today. Let's get into some charts. If you want to know any of those links and what they are at any time that we looked at today, just later in the day, go back into the podcast, to go back onto the show and just pull back until you see the name shared, and then go ahead and use a search engine to see it. Let's take a look at the markets today. Let's take a look. Definitely, I want to focus in on gold and silver over here, right? We briefly saw the dollar. Let's frame everything around the dollar right over here. And hold on. Keith, thank you, brother. Oh, by the way, I wanted to go back. Buried myself in TradingView. My TA is dead accurate. And being able to manage them myself is life-changing. That's what we do. Absolutely. Absolutely, Keith. Thank you for letting me know. Just simply thank you for letting me know what an impact that has had for you and your trading. That's very important for me. Boom, boom. I need to keep going over here. And where I want to go is over here to the DXY. And I want you to see that. I wish I could draw on Brad's chart. I can't. This support is kind of holding. Do you move this down a little bit over here? If I move my mouse down, could you see some light support in that area? Yeah, it makes sense. We're resuming off of it now. We have another swing high right over here, about 90.90. Getting above there will take us back towards testing this upper range over here, the top of the channel. We'll look at if it happens. Right now, we just want to know that we are trading sideways. If I can make a big circle like this, you can't see it, I can't describe it. A big circle around this range going back into December until today. We are so far just trading sideways on the dollar. What's gold doing? Why the dollar's trading sideways? Well, it's also consolidating in a massive, massive bull flag in a massive, massive bull market, right? We had that little circle when we were down towards the support of that flag. That was a place to accumulate. What about right now if we start making higher highs into the resistance, right? That would be very preemptive. I can't see why you would want to do that right now in a market that has been stalled here for 6 months or so. I'd rather wait to get above this trend line, to get above the 1864 resistance. That might be a place to look to enter gold. But silver, this is the time for silver. This isn't the time for gold, right? And silver over here, looking right here, maybe now to break above 2764. And if it breaks out of this little consolidation over here, this 3-day consolidation to the upside, look, are we taking out the 2021 high? Are we breaking above 30? And what happens above there? Just like step back a second. Step back and zoom out, right? These are the levels I'm targeting for 35 above that. And then we have the all-time high. 2021, let's see what happens over there. What else? What else? This Silvergate, does it always go up? Or why are the Robinhooders, and can you imagine still trading on Robinhood after what happened? Man, let's call it the Redditors or the Wall Street bettors, or just the normal people. Like my friends are not involved. Some of my friends are not involved in markets at all, and now all of a sudden they're following Wall Street bet threads, right? So why are they not all over Silvergate? Silvergate, I think it was Gene who first brought it up. Maybe, I don't know who it was. Someone in this channel, when we put in this trend line over here, when it was consolidating over there, I never imagined it would have doubled that quickly. It's no Cardano or anything, pretty close. Trading like an altcoin over here. Let's see what happens, and we'll continue to monitor that. That's just fun. That's just fun, right? Copper. What about copper? One of the stars commodities of 2020, up 89%. Where do we see oil prices? Where do we see all commodity prices going in 2021? I mean, stands all over it. I mean, basically the central banks are creating massive amount of inflation, and they're saying that they don't see any of it. So he's like, as long as that's happening, I'm going to be on the right side of that trade until it's no longer happening. And that's how you do it. You don't take a position thinking, I'm just gonna take, call a top over here, S&P 500. I'm calling the top here, right? Because price keeps going up, so I'm calling the top. That's not how you do it. You got to keep riding that wave until something happens. Something has to happen that's going to change the whole environment, right? And if you're looking for insolvency events, then you have to wait for the insolvency event to be happening in order to position yourself accordingly and get on the right side of the trade. So that's not something you get ahead of. You get into it when it's happening. By the way, let me skip over to Bitcoin, $48,000. I saw the comment, maybe that's starting to look tired over here. My advice, I'm not an investment advisor at all. I'm here to get you to learn how to think, to learn how to calculate, to learn how to trade for yourself, whether that's from, what we do here on the charts itself, whether what that we do psychology, what's that we do with our risk management, all of it, to how to think and act and be a trader, right? But I'm not an advisor over here. Just because I would tell someone I considered a brother to me, I would say, listen, yeah, 48,000. What would I do? What should you tell your dad? It's you have to, because he's waiting for a 30% pullback. He's waiting for it to come down lower, right? What happened was he sold over here somewhere. It kept going up and he missed it, and now he's like, oh, I need to get back in. And now I'm waiting for it to come back down to get in. We just had a 30% drawdown. Everyone here knows that. And everyone knows that was the place to add. What about over here, 47,000? What are we targeting next on Bitcoin over here, right? Will, chart over here, light resistance that we're into. I want to pull up maybe tomorrow over the weekend. I'll pull up my log chart as well because I have that resistance in over here. That was just auto-filled by TradingView. I had nothing to do with it, but it's the chart that I created. We'll be watching. My eyes are on 70,000. All of our eyes are on 70,000. We'll be watching. Bitcoin's at 47,000, 48,000. What do you do? In my opinion, you have to be fully invested, expecting a 30% plus drawdown at any time. You have to be fully invested and at any time expecting a 30 plus drawdown during this bull market phase. But over here, if we were into 70,000 now, I would say, well, now you gotta wait. We've come up really far, really fast. You have to wait until we have a pullback and then start scaling into it. But over here at 48,000, no, in my opinion, you have to be fully invested. And if you're not, you're doing it wrong. What else? Ethereum, Bitcoin. Ethereum looks beautiful. Ethereum Bitcoin looks like it's trying to break out over there again to the upside. That looks like a good place to take a trade, right? Right over there. What I'm tracking is what we set up yesterday. I'll zoom in a second. This trend line over there. Actually, I'm going to come down to the 2-hour time frame. And then the entry, right? Easy on the 8-hour. But watch what's happening on the 2-hour. Watch what's happening on the 2-hour. You could see that trend line over there we were tracking yesterday, right? It broke above, came back down and tested it. It's holding. You see it bouncing off there now and then giving an entry signal on the 8-hour. Your risk, I go with the tight stop here for sure. If that reverses and start making lower lows, I just don't want to be holding it. That's a pretty big position size, by the way, risking 1% over here. That's a big position size. You're talking about just to the new all-time high over here. Is that going to happen, or is Bitcoin going to push this all the way down into the support? I have no idea, but I'm able to manage my trade and risk around those two occurrences. This is over here, by the way, probably like what is that? Let's say I just want to know out of curiosity, right? So let's say the stop loss is 2.5 from there. That's a 10. That's what I thought it was. That's about a 10-to-1 risk ratio for that trade. And if it broke to new all-time highs, I wouldn't be taking profit. This training session we did the week before last, how to push your trades, essential to be a profitable trader. Absolutely essential. You have to take the high probability setups, which you're doing that by layering edge upon edge. One of the greatest edges is what we do, our entries, our TA, right? And then you got to manage the trade. What else are we looking at? We saw, well, I think that's it. I don't look at, if I look at my list over here, and this is why you got to have a basket, in my opinion, of alts. If you're trading alts, you got to have a basket, but what should the basket include? I don't know. There are definitely people who know better than me, but I think you got to go with DeFi. The ones I have on my chart, they seem to always be pretty. I like them. With Litecoin, by the way, not one of them. Litecoin is more just to track Litecoin, as is XMR, by the way. But I like to track Litecoin. It's been around for a while. I know a lot of people that invest in it. No, not really. Litecoin actually has the characteristic where it follows Bitcoin the closest. As Bitcoin pumps, you see Litecoin pumping probably before other alts, in my opinion. That's why you could see. Let's over here since September, right? Look at the move on Litecoin. Does that mirror Bitcoin's? You know, since September over here. Now let me pull up like Cardano, which is mooning right now. But going back to September, you can see it lagged like it lagged a lot. It was just flat while Litecoin was following Bitcoin. So I think Litecoin, that's what I think. That's what I think. I think we just moved this over right now into a Friday Ask Me Anything free flow session. I'm going to focus here on the comments, see what's going on, and just keep going it like that. Clarence has a question over here. Do I think Cardano can go? Will it be a percentage of Bitcoin? I have no idea. But if I right now was into a lot of people I know are into heavy, really strong profit positions of Cardano. What do you do now? I mean, I'm not familiar with what's going on with the project. I watched a video this week of Brandon presenting on it. That was the first introduction that I really had to it at all. When I point out a project, because we were looking at this, probably because Brandon brought it to my I don't know. We were looking at this down here, and I was just looking at it from price alone, right? Either which way. Here we are now. I don't look. They're launching their mainnet or that's usually a sell the news type of event. It's come up already, you know, in a matter of a couple of months, like an 8-9x. After the launch, do I expect some volatility to the downside? Could it maybe go down 50% in a short amount of time? Yeah, you have to. If you're in that trade, just be aware or understand. Not only do projects pump into newses like going live on the mainnet, but they also dump after it. That's crypto 101, right? That's the 2017 bull market in crypto. It's happening here again now. Is this time it different? And is Cardano going to launch? And is Cardano going to be like better than Ethereum? And is all the network effects taking place on Ethereum going to move to Cardano? And am I going to like become, am I going to print some serious wealth there? That could happen. I think the chances are small, right? So what would I be doing on that launch if I was invested in Cardano? Would I be parlaying that position into Bitcoin, lightly leveraged? Well, of course, you all know that. Don't get married to something. Don't get married to something. When I say that, understand. Bitcoin. This time is different. The institutions are here. We're going to $1 million. I'm exiting. I love Bitcoin. I'm exiting Bitcoin. Yeah, I'll hold 5-7% of my position for sure. Yeah, so all that stuff might be happening. All that stuff, Ivan, could happen. It might be happening and probably is happening, right? But that's what runs. That's why you're seeing the massive price speculation. It's up a massive amount of money in just 2 months, right? Into the launch, it could continue to moon. But normally after the launch, these things dump. Listen, don't. If I say something, don't act on it. Just use it as a piece of reference when you're coming to your own conclusions. More often than not, when I say something like that, it winds up happening. It didn't on Tesla. In Tesla, I gave the warning after being added to the S&P 500. Normally, something with a market cap so large is going to trade sideways. That will be its interim top for a while, right? I did give the caveat, yeah, this time is different because of what the Fed's doing every time I mention that. But I told you what the norm is. The norm is that normally as a company's added to the S&P 500, especially with this large market cap, it's going to be its interim top for a while, And that's not what happened on Tesla. So I'm not saying that's going to happen on Cardano, but I am saying understand your risk. Always understand what you should be watching. So so Elliot, by the way, Jordan, the value provided for free on YouTube is like none other. These sessions should cost thousands and thousands of dollars per year. You've been a mentor and guiding hand. Thank you. Thank you for just letting me know that. That's absolutely awesome. And it is that's true. The value provided for free here is extraordinary, is immense, and I get the value from it sharing with you. I really do. So thank you. You know, it really helps me work. Raul does it by having conversation with, like, I don't know what with celebrities, or I don't know what they are or anything like that. Mark Cuban, Shark Tank, I know him. Stan is a legend. But Willie Will, it's fun to listen to these conversations and figure out what's going on. But I couldn't do what I do without spending this time together with all of you. So, yeah, there's a John. Yeah, I mean yesterday's live stream training session with Conquering the Markets, talking about how I'm exiting into what assets and why, and the different options, and what I'm still figuring out. Was absolutely extraordinary, as was the morning session. If you haven't watched the morning session yet from yesterday, you cannot miss that one. Bitcoin 48,000. What do I think happens next? But the one before that was Bitcoin lightly leveraged, John. If you joining the course, by the way, yes, you don't have to. This is all free. This is all free. Will you learn more inside the course? Infinitely, of course. Will you be plugged in to the community further? Absolutely, of course. You don't need to do it, but if you're interested in doing it, do it. You have access to that video, to all the videos, and then the past year plus of training sessions weekly. Absolutely priceless. So, I mean, the mods are absolutely extraordinary. Extraordinary. I can't even thank them enough. I don't know how I could thank them for making this just. The spammers are relentless, and they try to mess up the chart. They do. Yeah. We could do that. 1 second. Come right back to that. So, Angel, thank you. Cardano might be added to Coinbase. 4 people are posting. That's the Angel. Good comment. That's the type of thing that continues to pump altcoins during adding to exchanges. That's a big catalyst for alts. That's usually what insiders do, by the way. I'm not trying to say Cardano is full of. I'm not saying anything about Cardano. I'm talking about altcoins, right? Generally, what they do is when some people want to, let's call them VCs, venture capitalists, when they want to get out of their position, we got to pay for that exchange listing. Once we get on that exchange, how much is Coinbase charging these days? Does Coinbase still charge for listings? Is Coinbase charging? I'm not up to any of that stuff. I'm focused on let's call it signal, right? That's what I need to do. I just got sidetracked. We wanted to look at some alts, right? Let me go ahead and see what alts they were. Definitely want to check them out with y'all over here. So we wanted to, I never even heard of Cakes. That's going to be fun. I'll start with Aave and Dot. All right, we'll start with Dot. So, wow. Right? You guys all seeing the same thing that I'm seeing? Off of the support into this resistance over here. A break above, this thing's going to fly, right? So as you starting to see Bitcoin just consolidating here. Now, listen, it's very, very, very important. Alt versus Bitcoin. If Bitcoin makes a quick, swift move into 70,000, it could crush those alts, right? Will those alts come back from where they are as Bitcoin gets into 70,000 and go higher from where they are today? I genuinely think so. But understand and study the past cycles versus altcoins. Bitcoin could have crushing moves. Actually, let's take a look right now on a couple before we get into the altcoins over here, and I'll move back to that. Let's look over here on the daily chart. I just want you to look during the peak, right? The peak of the bull market. Coming into right over here, December, this is where Bitcoin peaked. We're looking at Cardano Bitcoin. Bitcoin peaked around, let's call it Christmas, the 25th over there at 19,500. These 30 days are when alts just completely melted faces off of. But coming into this moment, this 30-day window over here, Bitcoin was melting all alts for a prolonged period of time. And a lot of investors probably got punished, right? But in this period over here, alts exploded. Alts exploded. Watch it happening on Ethereum, Bitcoin as well, right? Come back into that area right over here. Look how Bitcoin was punishing altcoins up until they exploded. Watch over on Litecoin as well. You know, same exact pattern happening over here. Now, it's not the same exact pattern. Litecoin was actually in lockstep with Bitcoin. That's something kind of important to focus in on over here. I'm going to do a little bit more research on that. I will do more research on this. You see how that as Bitcoin was pumping, Litecoin pumped it here, and then when alts went crazy, Litecoin went crazy. That's interesting. What's another one that was big back then? XRP. XRP. In all seriousness, anyway. XRP over here. XRP was not getting punished. Was not getting punished really at all. It was definitely very bullish in this wedge consolidation pattern going up until the explosion. That's interesting for me. This stuff is so interesting for me. This is what I love to look at and what I love to do. Anyway, let's come back over here. Let's look at Aave. Let's look at DOT. Looks extraordinarily bullish over here. DeFi moving. The basket we watch continuing to move. DOT. Oh, we looked at DOT. Aave. Right? So that's very clear. I think you got to move this down now. This is my original line, so I'm going to keep it here. And I'm going to go ahead and actually just make it a little bit lighter. I don't even know what's going on. Here we go. Sorry about that. Making this lighter, but I want to clean something up right now for those that are watching altcoins over the weekend over here. And just focus in on this. All right, focus in like this right now. Should you be on the 2 hour here? That's what I would be watching here this morning. Something like that. You know? What else? There was another one you wanted to see. Cake. I never heard of Cake before. Cake. It's only trades versus Binance? Does it only trade versus Binance coin? Well, I guess we'll look at it like that. Could you do Cake US dollar? Huh. Well, that's interesting. That's Binance coin has been a beast, by the way. Binance coin has been a beast. You know, and Cake is holding up extremely well. So that's that. That's on the 2 hour. That's on the 2 hour. What else? I'm jumping up to real time to see what you all are in over here. Pound, euro. Pound, euro. Euro, pound. Let's take a look at it. So long the pound euro. We've been pointing out the short here. Oh, okay, long the pound, perfect. Yeah, we've been short here the euro pound. And either way, ever since that support, right? That's you were away from us for a little while, Kips. This is one of the most. Let's take a look at actually all of them. Let's take a look at the only pairs that really have been watching. This is the pound since it's broke down out of that support over there. The patience of a predator. How long we set that trade up for? It was 2 weeks we were talking about it almost every session over there until the breakdown of that important support area. Continuing now to be rejected over here. Strong downtrend. Resistance being rejected. Australian dollar, US dollar also, right? That did not, by the way, this is the tricky part. This is the tricky part. Where are you taking that 40% off of? Right? You could see that. And I missed it on silver. One time in 2020, this got me into a bit of trouble over here where I great trade, never got to take any of that profit off of. That could happen over here easily right now. But what do you do? What do you got to do? Right? You got to push it. Are you moving your stop loss here from break even? Not me at all. I'm continuing to push this trade. All right, even though this is tough when you just miss take profit like that. Euro, New Zealand dollars on the watch list. Just continuing to watch this one over here. It's interesting the weakness I've seen on the New Zealand dollar. And the euro is not looking good. The pound is, right? That's why we're focused in on trading the pound versus the euro. That's why we're focused in on the pound US dollar. Look at that, by the way, conquering the markets all day long. It is a Friday. It is a Friday, though. Pound Japanese yen. Continuing. This is what we're focused on, right? This is the currency markets. Everything that's like precision. That's precision. That's the lesson today. Everyone's conceding, and if you haven't, you know, you're starting today. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the work. You have to be here every day. It's the only way you could stay in the flow. But everyone can see ever since January the trades that we've been focused on and how they're developing, and it's just that's. I mean, again, it's all for free. It's immense. It's immense. We're seeing silver break out. I don't know when I see things like that. I'm not sure what. Yeah, silver's slightly bid over here. Angel, I did. I did. And I commented on it. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's what happens during bull markets in altcoins, right? That's when you see VCs looking for coin listings, and then they're looking for basically exits. Am I saying that if an altcoin gets listed on Coinbase, that's bad for it? No, right now in this bull market phase, everything that's positive is great. There's no question about it. But you see, when you start talking about like just anyway, that's not. We already got into that. Be a stable coin. There we go. Let's come back to that. Thank you for that. The Authors Twins over here on Cake. Couple attracted to Cake. Let me come on the 2 hour first and see what's going on. See what I like over here. What I'm seeing over here, and this is I would say is pretty actionable. Is that breakout, and now here's a retest. So following on the 2 hour time frame right now and into this weekend, if I saw that hold and started making higher highs, I think that's how I'd be looking to play that over here. It looks beautiful. Not only versus Binance coin, but versus a stable coin over here. First Binance, which has been ballistic. This thing has consolidated well, and versus the dollar making gains. Is this the graph? The graph? Well, are we talking about the Bitcoin halving price? This is found, by the way, on Halving Tracker on Twitter. Right? Let's go. Let's see if there's an update over here. Let's see if we have a new chart posted. And I don't know. It looks similar, but Bitcoin's just been hanging out at that $37,000 now for about 24 hours. When I look at what's happening on the first and second cycle, and I've been saying this now for a while, like coming into this area over here, it looks like for the next, let's call it 50, 60 days, it's straight up, right? So when I say that, I think relatively soon we should be coming into 70,000. That's why. Right? So when I say, within 60 days, I think I'm being generous. It's just how I see it. So what else are we looking at? Okay. So, and I like to be educated, by the way. I don't follow closely what's going on. Any information I really get about altcoins and whatnot comes from all of you. I stopped watching this interview, by the way, right about 4 minutes in, when Mark was pumping his Aave position without letting anyone listening know that he was pumping it. And, that's just not ethical. That's just not right. Mark has a strong position in Aave. You could see him in this video pumping that position, talking about Aave. And then he'll throw in sushi too, like making a joke so that he's not like covering himself. No respect there whatsoever. But again, a lot of people are attracted to what's going on. This is why I've always said what happens is 6 months after the Bitcoin halving, you see alt season beginning. The reason for it is because Bitcoin's making new all-time highs. People think that they're late to Bitcoin. They think that they can make more money to buy more Bitcoin in altcoins, and thus the speculation begins. That's what's happening over there. People that do not understand how that game works, when they're hearing Mark Cuban's is interested in Aave, they're just thinking, oh, that's something that I should then also be invested in. They're not thinking that he actually was an early investor in it and now he's pumping it, right? And that happens when people are getting we might have a Coinbase listing, or when the project goes live on its main net. EOS is a perfect example. Let's take a look at EOS, the biggest Bitcoin poll ever. Which exchange should we look at? Let's look at it on Kraken. All right, come back over here. I'm just going to go to a 3-day chart to give you that big picture over here, right? This is over here, EOS pumping as they're getting ready, as they're collecting all the money. And then this is it pumping as they're ready to go live on their main chain. They go live. It's the very top, sell the news. Is that going to happen with Cardano? Could you see a 50% pullback quickly? I would be very concerned. That was the top for EOS. It was sell the news, and then they migrated over to Ethereum. Is EOS going to pump here during the alt season? You know, will it? Maybe rising tide, Bitcoin lifts all boats. You know, we'll see what happens. They built their main project, by the way. What was it called? Voice. They bought the domain from Michael Saylor. They bought it for $50 million from Michael. He's amazing. The Chad of all Chads. And then that's how Michael kind of got back into crypto, actually. That's what made him go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. All the information out. You're not late. The amount of information today that you could just spend some time learning about Bitcoin to understanding better is infinitely greater and better articulated than it was back in 2017 or 2016. Could you imagine back in 2016? I mean, I wasn't on Bitcoin Talk forum. So I was like getting, documentaries on Bitcoin and just like any information I could get about Bitcoin. Today is much different. So that was a bit of a rant. I think it deserves a like or two. Can we get some thumbs up over here, because we're short 849 over here as we've been on this session 55 minutes. Lots of little nuggets are dropped all the time. I get them. Yeah, we've been all over the pound Japanese yen. That's one of the main trades I've pointed out to you all over here. This was added by Dave during the training session over here. This trend line over here. Right? No. Is that correct? Or is that on the pound US dollar? Yeah, on the pound Japanese yen. Targeting all the way up over here, right? Look, you have to watch every day. I'm not going to get into it now. We'll get into it on Monday as we take a look at FX. It's Friday now. We're looking at everything from a deeper perspective, right? Not looking for entries on a Friday after New York comes to work over here, but just seeing everything definitely just continuing to float and flow in the directions that we have them pegged. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, a cross pair. When you're dealing with a cross pair, right, you're dealing with two commodity currencies over here. So like a lot of FX, it's been consolidating over here. Very few trending pairs, but the trends are prevalent and strong. Do I see any edge to entering over here right now? Could you be tracking over here something like this? No. That's that trend line right there. And by the way, could you imagine the era that a lot of like people that do TA do? They would draw this. I don't even know where to start from. They would draw this right there. That's how they would draw a trend line. Right? Like that. Anywhere else you go, that's not how you draw a trend line. You're just off. You're wrong. You're not following the flow of the market over here, the symmetry of the market. And here we go. Let me highlight my trend line for you. All right. And then you could see the difference. And if I clone this line, right? If I clone this line, it's going to play up between this lines and these lines over here. I'm not interested in doing that, obviously. I don't see anything going on in the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Maybe that helped you see something that you see. I hope it did. I don't really see it. Stefano, thank you for all the work you do. Definitely. I didn't see it. Let me take a look at it, Angelo. I missed it. And I just want to see your question really quick. I love those channels. I've seen a couple of channels that like on Twitch where like, if people are like make a super chat donation, it's like and all sorts of fun stuff. Like here we go. Since we stay on the right side of the markets, look into a Binance Chain DeFi that is getting a lot of attention due to high gas on. So that seems like, by the way, a pretty solid use case. Does Cardano solve that problem? I don't know. Or do you have to migrate to Cardano? Anyone looking to build anything on Ethereum that's going to solve problems, that seems like a really good space to speculate in. Is it DeFi? How is it DeFi? I don't know. Where CD, we're starting to get into alt season when you start seeing all this like stuff going on. And let's see, CD. What am I missing here? CEDEFI. Is that DeFi? Hold on. Maybe it's like this. I don't know. I need the ticker again. If someone give me the ticker, I'll pull it up and take a look at it. but it sounds interesting. I can see why people would be speculating on that. Oh, Mark did, by the way, talk in this interview about AI. Really interesting. That I would watch. Let me try to find out which heading it is over here. Here we go. Now it's a move towards blockchain. Tokenization is coming. I don't know. Maybe you have to watch the whole interview to get it. He spoke about AI over here for a few minutes, and that stuff was absolutely very interesting and worth listening to. Yeah, I use BlockFi. There's a link below. The only exchange I use to buy Bitcoin, and I store Bitcoin there. I love their security. I love that they do facial recognition if you want to withdraw. I love that you could whitelist no address, and then it would take 7 days to even add an address, so that like no quick withdrawals could be made. I feel comfortable. I like the security behind it. Is there any risk holding Bitcoin at a third party like BlockFi? Yeah, each and every third party where you hold your money somewhere else, there's third party risk. That includes, Chase Manhattan, right? Peter, thank you. So what else are we looking at? Is silver just ping ponging in a triangle? Or let's take a look. Yeah, hold on one second. Let me back up. Let me take a look at a couple of things over here. So we have a couple of backwards pairs today. First it was the pound euro. Now it's silver gold. Both of those flipped inversely though. Here we are looking at gold silver. And yeah, I mean, this is a signal that we've been very clear and that I've been very clear and strong about. If you watch the video, that we're going to see at this particular point in time where the Fed is just inflating everything, we're going to see silver outperform gold, right? And we talked about yesterday, the day before, why in a crisis this is one of the best trades you'd want to be invested in, right? Gold versus silver. We all know that if you remember back in the crisis when Bitcoin got slaughtered versus the dollar, and gold had a 15% drawdown, not so bad, right? Crisis before that, 2008, that was a 30% drawdown. So when when gold only pulled back 15%, that was gold acting very strong, right? Bitcoin pulled back 60%. So another thing, by the way, future reference, gold Bitcoin in that environment also, you see that gold just destroys Bitcoin. Look at this enormous spike up over here, up 100% versus Bitcoin in just a couple of hours, several hours, right? What was the return here? This was less. This is about 60% that it was up against silver. This is important stuff, by the way, or the most, 50%. That's the most important stuff that you could kind of be like storing away in the back of your mind, because there will be another crisis. There will be another crisis. I've been pretty consistent that during the last one, a lot of people continue to look for those insolvency events. I've been very clear since the last one. I think it'll be a long time between the next one, right? The one before this was 12 years. Will this one be 6 years? I said, listen, I know in 2023, they want to introduce the digital dollar. I don't think there'll be a crisis before then. I think that is how they'll introduce the digital dollar. Wait and see. When will they begin raising rates? The consensus right now, right, is 2023. Do you think that might break the system? We'll see. Every other time they try to tighten up the monetary supply, it's broken the system, right? So let's see what happens when they try to do it again this time. And let's see what the solution is, right? Create a problem, be the solution. Hey, your friendly central bank system. That's what's going on over there. Yeah, thanks for being here. Almost 999 likes. It's beautiful to see. Thank you for spending this time together. Look, I noticed, or I didn't read, but I want to see the interview. And you all know how I feel about the year 2030, right? Jack on Twitter tweeted 2030. I was all over him. Many people didn't understand what he was referring to right away, right? I'm not down with that. I'm all about freedom and liberty. I'm all about owning my own property, and you saw, or I'd like to see, it seems that at the World Economic Forum, Putin had a lot to say how that's not going to happen and how dangerous that is. So there still is a free world out there. You got to find it. What else? Yeah, I mean, there is the possibility that you see like everyone in Ethereum move over to Cardano. It seems unlikely to me. You know, those first mover effects are so important. Bitcoin was the first mover with the perfect launch, right? And it's Bitcoin. Does Bitcoin have to be the best? No, it has to work the best, and that's what it does. See, here we go. We got CDFI, a centralized, decentralized finance. Centralized. Wait, that sounds like an oxymoron. I can't even go there. A centralized, decentralized finance. That doesn't. I don't understand. Listen, man, it's not all. It's bull season. It's about your numbers. It sounds interesting, and if you do the math, it's a boat that lifts all up. Pay your taxes. Let's see what else we got going on. Elon is selling his Bitcoin, huh? Can you imagine? Does Elon have weak hands like Dave? What was Dave's name? Dave weak hands. He bought Bitcoin at what, 17,000 and sold it at 14,000. I don't know. Yes, that's a great Stefano. Thank you, Steph. If you're not only especially into DeFi, Cardano, follow what Brandon's doing on crypto trades and tech. By the way, you could find his channel just by going to my homepage over here, and then going to the bottom. You find Heath over here on Trade Talk and Brandon's crypto trades and tech. Brandon's video this week, the live stream on Cardano, I loved it. I absolutely enjoyed it very much. You should definitely check out what's going on over there. So what else are we looking at? Yeah, Tesla shareholders are really unhappy about them putting Bitcoin, or so the narrative goes, right? If I was a Tesla shareholder, which I'm not, you know, and they put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, I would be well, that would be the best day ever. Yeah, I guess they're mad about their $300 million in profits, and in the next couple of months, they're going to be really irate. Really irate when they just like are sitting on massive profits. Yeah, so just last time, Angel, when centralized decentralization, centralized DeFi is an oxymoron. It can't exist. There's no use case there for me. I do not want a centralized system. I want a decentralized system. Why? Right? You saw what just happened with Wall Street Bets taking a position against GameStop, right? Or for GameStop against some hedge funds. And there were other hedge funds on that long side as well. It just wasn't Reddit who did that, right? But as soon as they were winning, the rig system was like, "Oh no," and they put a stop to it, and they caused it to crash. On DeFi, that can't happen. If you have a centralized DeFi system, there is a centralized party that controls it. Listen, that doesn't make any sense, you know? Yes. Yes. Do you guys know the person that announced Tesla would buy Bitcoin was on? Oh, no, I did not know that. But I do know that we over here, the day we saw a headline that Elon flew over to meet Larry Ellison in Hawaii, the CEO, founder of Oracle, who sits on Tesla board, who there have been whispers about Oracle putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, that we said here on the live stream that it looks like Elon went to go talk because of Michael Saylor's Twitter conversation to Larry about putting Bitcoin on Tesla's balance sheet. And that happened. So what else? 1,000 likes. That's beautiful. I want to come down to real time just to see what you all are talking about. Bitcoin 5% off its all-time high. Bitcoin trading now back down over. This was a 10% dip, by the way. That was a 10% dip over there. I like that at this particular time. Look, the one thing that you do have to worry out for is the possibility. Do you remember in the last bull run we saw Bitcoin make that that all-time high, peak out, come down 30%, and then Bitcoin make another all-time high, and then put in another big drawdown. That happened at a different point on chain. That happened over here. Over here again in the first and second cycle, this is an upward swing period. So I am expecting that we come into 70,000 from here, but I'm always just worried about what could happen. And if I have, a 30% drawdown, this will be $30,000, by the way, is a 39% drawdown. That seems pretty safe to me. $29,000, excuse me, $30,000. That seems pretty safe to me. All right. Where are we? Let me come back down. Let me see what's going on over here. Yeah, I don't have any thoughts on FXF. Dave Portney. All right, let's see what's going on. Boom, boom. Paul, let's see. How about a Friday drag? Every time you say your favorite things, we have to hit the matcha. That's what I do. I have to get some new matcha though. By the way, it's been a while. I really enjoy that. Paul, I share what's my favorite things with you all. That's what I do, right? And listen, some get it. Many like everyone's invited. Few are gonna make it. That's the way it goes. If you don't have the dedication, right, there's no way you're gonna make it. If you're not gonna invest the time in yourself, and just like I do, investing my time here with all of you, then you're not gonna make. And if you do, then it's beautiful, beautiful. I'm making a mistake about. I'm not making a mistake about it in the fact that it may blow up. I'm not speculating in alts at all. I'm just involved in I can't get a symbol. South Brooklyn or anyone else, could I get I can't find it on TradingView. I'm not exactly sure what it. So is it not tradable? I'm not understanding, but I'm not trying to understand at the same time. In my analysis, in my opinion, right? Why there would be some of these projects that are being built today during this Bitcoin bull market that are going to be around for the next. Some of these projects will not. It's very early. They're all very immature. Could you be like a venture capitalist and just place lots of small bets and hoping some pay off really big? Yeah, that's how you could trade the markets. That's not how I do it. I focus all of my capital in concentrated places, right? Lightly leveraged also. So that's how and it's the most effective way. It's the most effective way. Maybe it's not exciting. Maybe it's not the same thing as trying to find out what stock or altcoin is going to pump next, and how you could get invited to understand who's going to pump it ahead of time or whatever that case may be, right? And you have to understand that, like when you have like Mark Cuban invested in Aave, right? And he's going on these media outlets and pumping it. There are also other funds and VCs doing this in every other project. You're just not aware of it unless you've been through the 2017, Bitcoin bull market and all season that happened there. Unless you understand. And what is Mark trying to do? Mark's trying to get more Bitcoin. But he's a billionaire. He doesn't need yeah, Mark wants to be like, yeah, I was involved in a project early on. I did well in it because he missed Bitcoin. He missed it terribly and horribly. But anyway, that's DeFi, right? So it's very immature, right? At this next cycle, the ones that are around today, the ones that did well during this cycle, survived the bear market, and then have the most network effects going into the next cycle. Is that a safer investment? Yeah, it's a much safer investment investing in Bitcoin, by the way. Right now at $46,000. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I do mean that. But when we got everyone in coming into this halving, when I spent all that time, getting everyone positioned into Bitcoin, right? That was a way safer investment than it was buying Bitcoin back in 2012. That was a really enormously risky investment, as well as it was in 2016. And they could have crushed Bitcoin in 2016 had they been focused on what their competitors were. They had the opportunity to crush Bitcoin, and it could have been crushed, right? It was a much riskier. It's the same thing with DeFi right now. Anything you're investing in is pure speculation and extraordinarily risky, and that's the way it is, right? Will it be safer in the future? Is DeFi the future? Absolutely. I support that 100%. You know, I'm all about fair and just decentralized systems, right? But right now, the only decentralized cryptocurrency there is Bitcoin. The only currency there is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not a currency. Oh yeah, what's a currency? Go ahead and watch Mike Maloney's video set, his series, his playlist. That's fun and entertaining, and you can learn a little bit. And yeah. So either which way, here we are. I'm focused on the trade that matters. Cleaning up, by the way, and we got a lot of people focused on what might be the next pump. That's, I'm just going to call it as it is. No, I have not tried that. I would love to try that. Maybe at the CTM meetup. Definitely. I would love to try that one day. There we go. I like that. It's important to have so strong hands. Dave has weak hands. Dave didn't understand Bitcoin. Dave, by the way, had hired Marty Bent, the Tales from the Crypt podcast, Marty Bent. I think, was Dave on the first episode, or someone from whatever Dave's doing? He's built an empire. Like, absolutely. Dave is super hard worker, like great stuff to learn about and emulate. I'm not even Barstool. Someone from Barstool did the first episode with Marty Bent's podcast, and it gives a history of Bitcoin. If you haven't heard that or seen that, I'll play it for you next Friday. It's absolutely fire, right? But he had access to someone who understands Bitcoin, and he never took the time to understand Bitcoin. Therefore, he has weak hands. The only way to have strong hands is to understand what you're invested in, to understand money, to understand the financial system. And to understand the financial system, you have to be a macro trader, a macro investor. You can't be a macro thesis person, is what I like to call them. Like the dollar milkshake theory. This is my theory. And I'm just going to stick to it until Peter Schiff. Like, you got to be long gold even through like a 7-year bear market. Like, what? If I was long Bitcoin at the top of the bull market and just continued to pump it and be bullish this whole bear market, I mean, I can't do that. So what else? Gachos, Peruvian cowboys, right? Is that right? I spent 8 months in Argentina, drank a lot of mate, but I've never been privy to it. I would love to try it all. I'm trying to see if there's any comments we could build off of over here. It's Friday. Happy to be hanging out. We'll see what's going on. Barstool Sports Bar. I wish I could see that. I wish that like going forward here, these live streams became a little more intuitive. Like, I was, by the way, took a photo of a car to show my daughter, and I never mentioned the type of car, anything like that. I took a photo of it, so it was in my camera roll. And then on Twitter later, there was an ad for that car. I mean, I want that type of stuff integrated into our live stream, so that if I'm looking where to take this, and then you're all commenting, it just pops up there. Is anyone building something like that? Mark was talking about what's being built on AI, or should AI? AI. Let me just briefly talk about it. Like Go, the masterful Asian game, I believe comes out of China. I don't know. I know they play it also. The best Go player was from South Korea. All right. And the Legend of Legends in Go, they taught a computer to play Go that was able to eventually beat the best player in the world. They then taught a computer to teach itself how to play Go by playing against itself, and it was able to crush the first version, right? So what this programmable learning is, which is called AI, is absolutely extraordinary, right? And they're talking about how this one service is built so that it's able to price for merchants, to figure out what the best price point is. That's really valuable, right? Is this type of stuff going to be like, that's exciting? But that's better. That's different than like some altcoin project that is like thinking of building like a curator for a newspaper or something. It's alt season. You're going to see tons of people trying to come up with ideas and build genuinely great things, but you have to focus in on where you could be the most effective in doing what you're trying to do. Are you a VC? Are you just looking to take like really like hundreds and or thousands of positions in ideas that you believe in? And if you're really good at it, some of them will go on to be the Airbnbs of the world. Or are you really just dialed in to focus in on what's going on right now in the current financial system? Massive amount of stimulus, massive amounts of debt, currencies being purposely devalued, scarce assets, digital asset, Bitcoin, the largest computer network, decentralized computer network in the world, right? Does it matter that a certain amount of the hash power is coming from China, right? We've already been through wars, right? Listen, you have to understand Bitcoin. Watch the Friday podcast on Tales from the Crypt, Marty Bent and Matt Odell. Like, just start listening to that regularly. Listen to the episodes from a couple of years ago, and just hang out with them, drinking your matcha or whatever. They do it with whiskey. And hang out and listen to what them talking about Bitcoin so you can understand Bitcoin. Consensus has shown that neither corporations and or miners could control Bitcoin, right? So if you're worried about like the like what happens if China holds a lot of Bitcoin. What's in China's best interest when it comes to Bitcoin? They seized how many Bitcoins? Where that thought was taking me, I'm not sure. Back to where all of you are. Yeah, all these questions, whether AI, whether quantum computing could break down Bitcoin. I mean, listen, the people that are behind Bitcoin, I call them intellectual giants. Adam Back, right? Hale Finney. I mean, and those guys are intellectual giants. The guys that have gone ahead and gameplayed this all out 8 years ago, they're the heroes, right? They're the heroes. That's why Michael, with the exception of someone new like Lynn, was able to go ahead and understand the case for Bitcoin after writing it off. In 2013, he called it a scam. On Twitter, he called it a scam. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being wrong. You just got to get on the right side. And when you get on the right side, you got to give credit where credit's due. Right? You got to give credit where credit's due. So what else are we looking at today? So there's a question. I have 600 pounds. It's all I have, and I already invested 5,000 in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some DeFi. Did I do something good, or is it too risky? I mean, listen, I would never tell you how to invest your money, because if you're investing your money, unless you know how you should be investing your money, you could get lucky. I had a close friend last year invest in Tesla because he bought a Tesla and liked the car, and he got really lucky in his 401k, in his Roth IRA. Really lucky. And that could happen. Sometimes you can get lucky in investing. The worst if it's your first investment, because then you might think you understand what you're doing. But the point is to learn how to do it yourself. In my opinion, right? How old are you? It really matters, right? But if I had $6,000 of investable money and I put 5,000 of it, 90%, whatever, in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some DeFi, do I think I did something good or too risky? Yeah, I think the money you put in DeFi is risky. It's highly speculative and maybe it'll pay off. Yeah, I think Ethereum's going to outperform Bitcoin, continue to outperform Bitcoin. I've been strong on that signal for a long time. But yeah, I think Bitcoin lightly leveraged is the trade and the only trade. I can't imagine why I would do something else. But understand, if you don't know how to trade Bitcoin lightly leveraged, then do not do that. That's for advanced, like you're an expert, because you could lose all your money. So you could lose all your money. So do watch if you haven't seen the Bitcoin lightly leveraged trading session. But at the same time, just even investing in Bitcoin for the bull market cycle with no leverage, strategy number one on 3 ways to trade the Bitcoin bull market. If you haven't seen that video, go to the Bitcoin playlist. Go to the 3 ways to trade Bitcoin, the ultimate guide to profit from Bitcoin from its bull market phase. Such an important video. It's your roadmap. That's what I would be following. And I would be riding this until we exit, until it's time to exit. Until if you're waiting for my exit, that's fine because you're here every day, right? You're following the same pulse that I'm following. But if you're either which way, riding this, but you'll know when it is yourself. When you're riding this to the top over here, whatever, like not leveraged Bitcoin that you bought now with 90% of the money you have for investing, do I think there's a better trade than that? No, because it's safe in my opinion. You have to understand that. And then do I think that putting your capital work for this year over here and then coming in and accumulating for the next bullet, is there a smarter thing you can do? Not that I know of. Is that not exciting? Is building wealth not exciting that you prefer to go search across Twitter or Reddit for the next stock or altcoin that might pump and maybe you can make more money quicker? That's that you have the wrong type of time preference and you're never gonna create wealth. So there it is right there. There it is right there. The same thing. Whether it was, in my opinion, if it's 5,000 pounds or 500,000 pounds, it's the exact same answer. It's the exact same answer. Yeah, I think that's totally risky that your friend invested 48,000 with 4 times leverage. Because I have no idea where his liquidation level is, and I have no idea if he knows how to manage that. And your friend could be on the right side of the trade. The right side of the trade is long Bitcoin during the bull market phase, and he could wind up losing all his money. I have no idea if your friend is an expert or not. No, I don't, Justin. I didn't see that video. I missed that one. Yeah. Right? But you can't see the inflation, or the worst, Dan, worst. Lumber futures making all-time highs, inflation, period, the end. All commodities right now breaking out, bullish cycle, inflation, the end. So now, and it's coming from Brent Johnson, Dollar Milkshake, and it's coming from Raoul Pal. Well, okay, I was wrong. But now I think it's gone too far, and I think everyone's on the wrong side of the trade, and I think that's a crowded trade, and I think that it's going to end badly. What? That's the absolute worst advice I've ever heard in my life for an investor, right? I'm finally, because do you remember everyone who was watching this channel? If you were watching this channel last year, give a thumbs up. If you were watching this channel last year, back over here in April, I'm very clear. Fed expanded, you got to follow the liquidity. Fed expanded their balance sheet. This is uber asset inflationary, Uber. And these guys from here fought that. Okay, I was wrong. Oh, but the markets are going to crash. Fought that, but the markets are going to crash. And now they're like, okay, I was wrong. You're telling me 9 months later, you're admitting you were wrong. And now instead of getting on the right side of the trade, you're like, well, I think everyone else is wrong and it's gone too far. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? But if you're not an educated investor and you're listening to that, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, Peter Schiff, he's a smart guy. That all makes sense. You're playing with sharks. You're playing with sharks, Yeah. So they're going to take your cash from you, right? You're not going to be allowed to use cash. You know that, right? Because of why? Well, I don't know. If it's not, there'll be a reason, and they're not going to allow you to have cash. Is it better in the next 100 years? Which is going to age better? cash under your mattress, which will be worth nothing because it's devalued away, or Bitcoin in cold storage? What about just 10 years? Forget 100 years. Most of you do not have that time preference, I see, as we talk about what we've talked about in the later part of this episode, right? So let's talk about 10 years, which again might be a little bit high for a lot, but it's coming, whether you like it or not. Like 10 years is going to pass, and it's going to be in the blink of an eye, right? So the decisions you make over the next 2 years are greatly going to affect what happens over the next 10 years of your life. And you being here, have the opportunity to create generational wealth. The things that we're going to do together are absolutely extraordinary. You know, we are going to change lives. That is why we began all of this. That's why I began all about this. Come over here to the About section, right? Ultimately, my goal is to help as many people possible around the world live better lives. Now, I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and they're like, I see all the comments. Like, a lot of people are saying that their lives have been changed, but it's the people whose lives are being changed here and together in this more intimate setting. The amount of lives that we're going to affect together, that's going to be extraordinary. You have to get on the right side of the trade. You have to have the right time preference, right? You can't take, well, I've made some mistakes up until now, but now I'm going to get it right. And one day, maybe listen when Jordan's talking about the most important trade and the only trade that matters and how he's doing it and whatnot. You have to make all the decisions yourself. Infinity likes. Thank you very much over there. So what else? James. That was, I really enjoy having these conversations with you all. Yes. Okay, psychology is such a huge part of the game. I never really realized it until let's say, I don't want to say I mastered it. I'm always a student, but it wasn't until I fully understood it that I understood how important it was. So important. There's no way you could trade without emotion if you're overpositioned. And there's no way you're going to make money if you're overpositioned. How do you compensate for that? Well, make sure that, first of all, you should position yourself correctly. And I know everyone side CTM is positioned correctly. But if you don't know how to do that, position over lightly. Everyone over positions, under position, so that you can be in a position of control. Thank you, Dave. It is survival of the fittest. It is the survival of the fittest. And the most humble, Stan. I love his office. I love the pillow on the floor here. You have no much idea. I love the always learning, the books over here. And then family. Family is the most important. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you for all the, Stefano, thank you for all of the work. Thank you for making this place so special. Really, really grateful. And to each and every one of you, I'm not just thinking out Stefano, to each and every one of you. Every time I read all of the comments being shared as we get going in the morning, what a special moment of my day. I absolutely love connecting with all of you like that as we get going. So what else are we looking at? One of these best nuggets of wisdom I learned is lean into support. Yeah, I mean, Max, 101. We buy off support in uptrends and we sell off resistance in downtrends. Boom. Just 101. So important, and thank you for saying it. We need to be always reiterating these things because it's important for everyone else. Not everyone else has spent the last 7 months in here spending, a really valuable portion of their most valuable asset, their time, learning and studying and having the patience to wait for when the market is showing something where we have something that's continuing to add to our overall knowledge and learning, right? That's what it's about. Noise versus signal, something this channel, Vincent, is very strongly about. How long have I been focused on what I considered signal, and what did I consider signal, right? For me, and the most vocal thing that I've been about on this channel is the signal of following the liquidity, right? So we just have now May until February, 10 months later, check my math. people wondering what's going on, and then other people being like, yeah, well, it's the Fed. You know, now you got to catch. Right? Who was early, right? And who's continued to stay strong on that signal, right? That's what you got to be. It's so important. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, listen, one of the best pieces of advice I ever heard was from Pope Francis. And he was basically like talking to parents, and he's like, just waste time with your kids, quote unquote waste, because there's nothing wasting about it, right? And it's true, right? I mean, and that's why kids love us, just because, you know, we're their world. And, you know, the more time we could spend with them. By the way, someone put a thumbs down for that. Look, this is the first time in 2021. It's the first time in 2 months that I've ever, because I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. What I'm trying to do is change lives. What I'm doing is changing lives, right? And the amount of lives that I'm looking to impact. Do I think that these central banksters are looking out for all the people of the inequality they've caused? No. Who's going to feed them? Who's going to take care of them? That's what I'm focused in on that. So when you get but listen, that thumbs downing for spending time with your kids, man, it's best that you just leave. It's just best that you leave. Obviously, you're not welcome here. Tom, thanks for being such a special part of all this. Thanks for being a special part of all this, you know? Matt doesn't know what to. Matt, you're asking what you should be. Matt, you should just be focused on 2 months here or 2 months you're in 4K profit. No, I don't think there's anyone asking what they should be focused in on here. That's a regular follower and listening of what we do over here. Yeah. So what else? Let me come back to real time over here. Let me see what's going on with all of you. The Holy Spirit. Do I think a 5% monthly it really depends on how much risk you're taking on, Justin? It depends on how much risk you're taking on to do that. Like with what type of drawdown is a better question, you know? Is that a realistic goal that most people should be setting out to do? No, not at all. I don't think anyone here listening should be their goal at all. So I'm trying to see what else is going on. Yeah, I don't follow things like that at all. You know, I don't know what Ethereum tidal wave is or whatever or anything like that. I do know that, again, Ethereum is also highly speculative. It's a product that doesn't yet work. They're trying to make it work. If it works, it could be really big, really, really big, right? Is Ethereum $10,000 something we're going to see in this bull market phase? Yeah, on speculation alone, it surely looks like Ethereum, you know, $10,000. 15,000, let's see. When things get going, and Bitcoin, I think, is really going to get going for all the reasons that we've really, really focused in on, right? Is that going to lift all, including Ethereum? Of course, you know. But could something go wrong, right? Which has greater odds of actually a fatal flaw happening in Ethereum or Bitcoin, right? I mean, if you don't, you have to understand that very clearly. Is $36,000 liquidation level too small? Wow, Mr. Truth. I mean, it's a good question you're asking. It's a good question you're asking, but 36,000. That's only what is that? A 26% drawdown? Is that too small? It seems way too high to me, right, Mr. Truth? Like, it seems very aggressive to me. But you understand, right, that at any time we could have a 30 to 30% plus drawdown on Bitcoin, right? So what's a safe liquidation level, right? Is there safer liquidation level right now at 27,000, 26,000, right? Are we going to have a 45% drawdown? I don't think so. But if we had one into 30,000, by the way, if we had one into that was 43% down, I would say something's really wrong, and I would be lightening up this position for sure, so that instead of a 26 liquidation level, maybe I had a $21,000 liquidation level, and I would make sure to monitor that if something was wrong over there. But that seems pretty high to me. $36,000 liquidation level. That seems like, yeah, I think we could have a 25% drawdown. Of course I do. Seems aggressive. So there's nothing canceling the bull market. There's nothing canceling the bull market, right? My stop is 0. You guys all know that, right? My stop is 0. 1 hour of Bitcoin. Oof. I haven't gotten down to the 1 hour in quite a long time. So are we looking at a possible head and shoulders that has broke over? Are you looking at this over here? What are you looking at? So I don't think so. I think that's what you're looking at. And I'm trying to say, I have a line there. Hold on, let me remove that. I have a line right here. I think this is the line. That would be a break of that would be worrisome. A break of this line would be worrisome to me. A break of this line that you're looking at right over here, focused on the 1 hour, that would mean, in my opinion, you know, maybe sideways consolidation for a little while. Could we drop down into this trend line? It's all possible. But anyway, yeah, that's a good look at it. What does that look like on the 2 hour? That's fun. TJ, thanks for bringing that over here. Thank you, John. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for all the support, for real. It's not easy. It's not easy, right? Well, it's not easy being the shepherd here every day, Monday through Friday, making sure that we're all as focused as can be on the markets. I can't imagine being so otherwise. I enjoy every moment I spend with all of you, and I'm truly grateful for it. Absolutely, Rick. I love to hear it. I absolutely love to hear it. It's very important. Thank you so much for letting me know. You know, I feel I do have an empathetic heart, and when I speak to people who are first of all aware of Bitcoin and crypto, but they're not positioned correctly, it really it just gets my heart. I want everyone to thrive. I really want everyone to thrive. Pound US dollar, 4 hour candles. It's Friday. Why not, right? Let's take a look on the 4 hour over here. Wow, that is a big candle. Those are big candles over there. What's happening to the dollar or anything? Go over to the DXY, and that's with the DXY positive on the day. That's with the DXY positive on the day. That's an interesting play over there, right? And then if you look at the euro pound, even bigger. The pound making bigger gains against that weaker euro, right? We've signaled in over here on that, and you can see that strong down. Resistances continue to be sold. This is obviously where the market's paying attention to. I haven't cleaned that up in a while, right? But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, the Bitcoin chart is showing me everything. I see it exactly like the Matrix. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, so happy you're here with us. So welcome, Rick. You know. Oh, come from Rick. You know what? This is a great goal. As I was speaking to a friend yesterday, this is a great goal. You should be right now. If you're coming into Bitcoin having no position and don't understanding it, you should be spending these next 20 months, this next 18 months, learning about Bitcoin and preparing for Bitcoin, maybe even participating, because we have several months left here of this bull market phase, and a lot of Bitcoin is cheap. I think Bitcoin is cheaper today at $47,000 than it will be in the coming bear market. So when we're positioning back into Bitcoin, I think it'll be more expensive than it is today at $47,000. So Bitcoin is cheap in my opinion, and you still have plenty of time to ride out this bull market phase. Exit your Bitcoin, spend your time learning and learning and learning, and then over here have strong hands, have hands that are going to help you make the right investment that could possibly pay off your mortgage and or take off decades off of it and or pay for your children's higher education. Do I think that's a worthy goal for a lot of people? Maybe even get your wife a new car? Yeah. It's up to you whether you're going to put the time in or not. You know, is it a once in a lifetime opportunity? I think so. I genuinely think so. Right? So there we are. Thank you, brother. You too. I mean, South Bronx, man, brother. You know, yeah. What is Monday? Is Monday President's Day? I mean, I'll be streaming on Monday morning. I'll be here. That's a huge deal, right? That's a huge deal, and it could happen this cycle, and it could happen another cycle. It's life changing, and you know, it's beautiful. Thank you, Carl. Carl, so much enjoy your company. What can we do to help Peter? Nothing. Peter's making good. He's making, you know, his money doing what he does, and he's happy doing it. You know, that's not why I got into trading. You know, I got into trading as a passion. I thought that the markets are probably one of the most difficult things there is in the world, and I had the desire to compete there. Right? For me, it's about being right. The money comes with that. The money comes with that. It flows with that. But for me, it's about understanding the markets. That's awesome, Jack. That's why I do what I do. Thank you so much, Jack. Oh, Monday is Patience Day? I never heard of Patience Day. What is Patience Day? Hold on, let me check the calendar. I've never heard of that. By the way, to all those, if I doubt anyone's listening right now in Asia because it is their new year, but Happy New Year. Happy New Year. A lot of you were celebrating that this morning. Monday's President's Day. Oh, that's what we meant. I'm so sorry. I do typos and mispronunciations all the time myself. I totally get it. I'm so sorry. President's Day. I'll be streaming. I will be streaming. Do the copy share guys. Diamond hands. All right, everyone. There's something else I wanted to look into really quick. Let me see. Thank you. That's amazing. And a lot of people this past year started following the channel because of the crisis. You know, a lot of you first were introduced to this channel right over here in March and in April, right? And this is during the height of the crisis, right? It was an oasis, and a lot of you, because of it, were able to make decisions that is help you prosper during this time. When I say prosper, I mean a lot, like just to be able to feed yourself and your family is a huge deal. It's a huge deal. So that's awesome. Happy Lunar New Year to everyone. Lunar New Year? I thought it was the year of the ox. What's going on? Thank you. Thank you, Tony. So happy you're here with us. So happy. Some would say president is a patient. No. Boomer Dave. Boomer Dave, thank you for all your comments and all the time. But we can't do that. We can't do that. Look, the president is the president. We talked about, you know, all the important things regarding the election coming into it. But we can never at any point become political and talk politics here and get like it becomes toxic for everyone. And that's not what we do. But Boomer Dave, thank you for everything you bring all the time. Definitely grateful for it. And you. Yeah. So there was one other, but you know what? I'll share it another time. I'll share it. I don't know what it was. It was one of my favorite things, and it was something good. I'll share it with you next time on Monday. I'll be here on Monday, right? Want to have a look at the log chart of Bitcoin? Yeah, that's what I might do this weekend because I've started over here on Will's chart of the log. I believe I'm into some resistance. Let me look with you really quick. I want to see. I'm gonna come back down over here. All right. The reason I want to focus in on, where do I have the log chart? Bitcoin with log charts. I'm just coming into the description over here, and there's one chart that I did. So I want to look at this chart right now. No, I don't have any resistance over here. I don't have any resistance whatsoever. Will does not have any resistance. And $70,000 at this point of how many days after the halving looks like a run up in the first two cycles. Do I think this time will be anything different, or do I think it will rhyme? I think our next stop is $70,000. No way, Dave. I made it clear, all good in the hood for real. But just for everyone else, you know, we have to make sure that we don't do that, right? Because otherwise, things like this, right? Like we're not talking about anyway. Boom, boom. We got into Litecoin thoroughly here in this session over there. That was really fun to do, actually. Thank you, Sam. Let's go out with some music today. Kips, can we play your Autumn? Can we go out with Autumn today? Let me know if we have the go ahead. Otherwise, we'll go out with our normal soundtrack. You're okay, Boomer. Oh, Robert, I'm sorry, brother. You know. Yeah. Kip's guitar. This is Kip's guitar over here. Love this track over here. Autumn. I'm not sure if it plays on that browser. I'm putting it over here. This is Kip's channel over here, Kip's Guitar. If you're interested in some really wonderful music, classical guitar, I love it. Gene shared this one yesterday. It was absolutely. If you haven't seen this one, Bitcoin, please go to the moon. Definitely go ahead and watch that one. And we got to go out. with Head Snacks, Conquering the Market theme song over here, because it was a fun session over here. We're gonna go out on Friday on a fun note. Kips, thanks for Autumn. Such smooth stuff over there. I would love it.
Analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip the matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing. The markets are not crashing, the prices might be slashing just to pretend they're in fashion. Hit the like button, comments, and smash it. Boom, boom, Jordan in the room. Grab the bull by the horns off to the moon. Flow from the plateau, make the play. Boom, boom, it's a taco day. It's a taco day. It's a taco day.
Have a beautiful weekend, everyone. I'll see you all Monday, and I'll talk to you soon.